Good morning, South High School. This is Mr. Formalo, back at you one more time with another episode of Living in FlexMod. Today our focus is going to be on conflicts, and you've heard a little bit about conflicts where classes may overlap and conflict with one another, and how do we handle that in terms of scheduling and attendance. So conflicts, today I'm hoping we'll understand the process and procedures for conflicts in general, most likely for how it will work next year when we go to full FlexMod. And we also need to spend a little bit of time understanding our unique situation that we have for conflicts as it pertains to the 2-week pilot. So overall, conflicts occur when individual classes or phases are scheduled at the same time or overlap. And in our current school setting, this forces students to make choices between classes. So if you were asked in August, for example, to make a choice, you had to either choose to take AP Stats or AP Chem, and you had to make that decision. There was no alternative to being able to do it other than maybe trying to go to that teacher to do an independent study, which is also cumbersome on teachers and on yourself, and trying to find the time in our current 7-period schedule to do that, especially if you're a student who chose not to take a study hall. So just in general, we need to keep in mind that conflicts are an approved privilege when we look at next school year. They're not something that every student is entitled to, in that to be able to have a conflict in your schedule, you have to be able to demonstrate work ethic, commitment, and effort that you're going to put forth the time independently to make up the lost instruction time. When we have a conflict, students can resolve the conflict by attending another section that meets at a different time in the day. You can leave a class early or attend the second class late. You can make up time independently through open lab resources, and there's also the opportunity of splitting the mod, meaning you would leave right in the middle of a mod, not at the end of a mod. Here's an example of how a conflict may look in your schedule. Now this particular student has a conflict on Wednesday, and there's a conflict between their Red Wing Band class and Health 1. And it's a 2-mod conflict, and the conflict is on Mod 3 and Mod 4. So to resolve that conflict, this student may make the choice of alternating week to week, and this would be resolved with the teachers. So it may be staying in band on the odd weeks and leaving early to get to health on the even weeks. The other option is splitting the class or splitting the conflict mods, and in that scenario it would be just every week it would be always staying in band through Mod 3 and then getting to health during Mod 4. The other opportunity that they would have would be leaving early, arriving late. Very similar to splitting the mod, or splitting the class, but in this situation it would be remaining in all 4 mods of band, and then coming late to health at Mod 5, or the other way around, leaving band after Mod 2, and most likely that could be on a rotating basis. Sometimes though this could change based on how your teachers feel you're able to do things, and if you're able to demonstrate that work ethic, that they might want to offer you the opportunity to utilize resource to make up missed time. So it may be a resolution agreed upon by you and the teachers that you would always stay in band and would make up the missed 2 mods in health in a resource so that you can get that lost instruction there. So every week it wouldn't matter, you'd always stay in band through Mod 4, and then you'd make up those missing 2 mods of health somewhere else in your schedule with your teacher or a teacher in that department to get the missing instruction that you have. So conflicts in general are agreed upon between you and the teacher in the future. Now, we know that in the 2-week pilot, there's going to be some different concerns that we have and some solutions that we have to come up with in order to make the 2-week pilot work. Again, keep in mind that the 2-week pilot is an opportunity for us as a school to work through this change in our schedule and be able to come to some solutions about how we can make it work great in September. We would rather experience those problems now for 2 weeks so that we can work them out before we get into this next September. And once we're into school next year, making any drastic changes to the schedule are almost impossible. So thank you for being a part of the 2-week pilot. Have an open mind as we get into it, and recognize that essentially the image that I have here is what we're trying to do is put a square peg into a round hole, meaning that we're placing your current course selections for the second semester into FlexMod. And that doesn't work out ideally, as I had mentioned before, most of our schedules were balanced in August so that you wouldn't have the conflicts. And we can't avoid that entirely when we go to FlexMod because FlexMod is not the same as a 7-period day. So please have confidence in our school that next year is going to look more like this, where we will have placed in most of our individual student plans, and everyone's going to have a place to fit their unique needs. And at times there may be conflict, but it's going to be far and few between when we look at it in our true FlexMod next year. So in the 2-week pilot, some of the concerns that are going to come up is that most students will have at least a 1-mod conflict, where you're going to have a class that overlaps with another class by 1 mod. There will be a group of students who will have more than 1 mod conflicts, and maybe a 2 mod or a 3 mod conflict that we will have to work out. And there is yet another group of students who will have entire phase conflicts, meaning that on any given day of the week, they may not be able to attend a class entirely on a given day. So during the 2-week pilot, we're working out a plan to resolve the 1 mod and 2 mod conflicts. And it looks like what we're going to be looking at is that during week 1, we'll have a specific rule that depending on where the conflict lies, you would stay in that class during week 1. If the conflict is at the end of the class, week 1, you would stay in that class and arrive to the other class late. In week 2, it would be the opposite. You would leave the mod conflict early and arrive to the other and get to the other class on time. So we'll go into that much more detail next week as we lay out the parameters and get closer to giving you your individual schedules so that it makes more sense. And the other piece is that we have to resolve entire phase conflicts. And entire phase conflicts, as I'd mentioned, is where you're going to miss an entire phase of a class. And in this instance, what we have done is we've made some decisions about which classes you will attend, and you will make up the missed time for the other class in a resource setting. So I know that's a quick overview of how we're going to manage conflicts. Tomorrow we'll spend a little bit more time on it based on your questions that you have. So please generate questions with your teachers, and I look forward to providing you with the information that you need to have more clarity on how conflicts work in FlexMod. Thank you for your time and have a great day.